An inmate at McConnell Unit. This call is being recorded and is subject to monitoring. To accept charges, press 1. To refuse charges, press 2. To learn how to put money into your thank you for using Securus. You may start the conversation now.
Hello.
Hello.
Hey. Hi. We're just now live on TikTok, and I mean like just now, but like by the seat of my pants live, James. So I want to introduce you real quick. Y'all, we have calling in from the McConnell Unit, the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. I'm holding up his book right here, No Hostage Beyond This Point, by James Probst. James Probst is on the line, and he has experienced long-term solitary confinement in the Texas Department of Criminal Justice. He has experienced generational addiction, and his family has overcome that. And we have a lot of questions for you, James.
Great, I'm ready.
Okay.
Before we get started, I kind of wanted to say something that I usually say on when I do my other lives, since it's my first time doing this on your platform.
Yeah.
If that's cool.
Yeah, please do. Can you guys hear him okay? Can everybody hear him? I have him on my laptop, and I'm trying to have like the speaker fairly close. You guys give me thumbs up. Y'all are hearing him? They can hear you. Go ahead, James. Spill it.
All right, awesome. I just wanted to say that I know a lot of times when I do it, because I know in a lot of different platforms there's different COs and stuff like that also watch. I mean, not everyone's the same, but there is those out there who don't like me doing things that I do as far as my advocacy work and just everything I'm doing. So I just always like to let people know that everything I'm doing is 100% legal. Calling you, being on my approved calling list, and you having a separate phone with me on speaker would be the same thing as me calling you and you just reading comments to me off the internet. The only thing that would be against the rules is a three-way connection. And so, yeah, I just wanted to be specific about that before we move forward.
Yeah, we were really careful to investigate that before you started answering questions live for folks like this. And one thing that we're not going to do is like put any kind of privileges. We're not going to put James at risk to lose any privileges inside there or get in trouble, because he's got a lot going on with his book and with his advocacy work. He's putting together a 501c. What's the name of it? Redeeming Justice?
Yeah, it's Redeeming Justice, and we actually got a Facebook page under the same name where we just got a community where we try to convene with, talk about different things and give updates and stuff like that. But as a Texas inmate, I'm not allowed to co-own, or run a business while incarcerated. But there's no statute that says I can't serve on the board of a business, like a 501c3 community organization. So basically that's what I'm doing, is serving on the board as the chair. And Katie, my wife, is the president, and one of our good friends is the vice president of the organization.
So, James, I'll just, and you guys start asking whatever you want to ask. I'm going to try to keep up with the comments and the questions as they're coming. But can you give us just a brief rundown of what age you were when you got incarcerated, how long you've been locked up, and what your sentence is? Not charged, but what the years, what did they sentence you to?
Right. I was incarcerated previously in Texas, in TYC, Texas Youth Commission, which is a prison for youth. And I got out, and shortly after that, I was 18 years old in 1 month. And I called the charge that I got now, and I faced the death penalty for the first couple of years. And after 7 days after my 21st birthday, they took the death penalty off the table and gave me life without the possibility of parole. So I've been locked up ever since 1 month after my 18th birthday, and which is 16 plus years now. And I've been in solitary confinement 15 of those years.
15 years in solitary confinement. I don't know if you guys all caught that. 15 years in a concrete box. Texas houses more people in solitary confinement for 3 years or more. More, if you combined every other state in the United States plus the federal government, the state of Texas houses more people in long-term solitary confinement. Can you talk about the conditions in solitary confinement in a Texas prison?
Sure. Well, I mean, it's definitely changed over the years. When I first got back here, it was a lot more physical violence, you know, from staff, because when I first came to SEG, you know, there was no such thing as cameras. There was no such thing as tablets where you can call your family and phones, and none of that, you know. So they got away with a lot more stuff. You know, it's just a whole other world. But now it's a lot more psychological violence. You know, as far as I think ever since COVID hit, they've been leaning they've been like, they made a punch out of the short of staff thing. And so we go, like right now, the last time I seen the sun, well, other than going to visit yesterday, is when I got to this unit and I stepped off the bus. We literally sit in these closet-sized white wall cells for 3, 4, 5, 6 months at a time with no recreation, occasional shower here and there. And like right now, these cells are like an oven, you know, concrete and steel, and it's so damn hot in here. And it's just, yeah, drive a person crazy.
It's not easy to keep your mental wherewithal about you when you're housed in that kind of condition. Can you talk about some of the mental disparities or the mental health issues that you yourself has experienced because of solitary confinement, or that you have seen other men experience?
You know, for myself, because when you're trapped in this cell like this, you have nothing but time to think. You know, think about all the things that you failed at in life, just all the people you lost along the way, just everything in general. It's like those thoughts become objects that bounce off the walls, and they just hit you from all angles, you know. And there's been times, which I actually talk about, and I think in my book, that I've contemplated suicide of myself, and you know, looked up at the vent, pictured myself hanging, and actually tried to overdose myself on fentanyl back when I was on the all-red unit. And I have so many friends, man, that I've watched over the years come back here. And I think solitary confinement is literally designed to break a person's will to live. So that's what it does. And I have so many friends that I've seen cut their throats from ear to ear, hang themselves from the vent, just slowly lose their minds back here. They start off at the door, thinking people talking about them, and they start yelling and screaming. Next thing you know, they're smearing feces all over their body, chunking it out the door, and just deteriorate slowly, misapprehensive, you know. Yeah.
I want to point out that we are housing people in this long-term solitary confinement in the name of security, because these folks, these humans, are deemed maybe dangerous to the facility or dangerous to security. However, there are the majority of folks housed in solitary confinement are going to return to our communities someday. So the way that we're housing them and treating them and putting their mental health at such risk, it ends up being a danger to our own community. For those of you that are just hopping on, we're talking to the author of No Hostage Beyond This Point. This is his book, James Probst. James has been incarcerated in Texas for a little over 16 years. He has been housed in solitary confinement for 15 of those years. He's currently on the McConnell unit. The line is open to questions. We have about 75 folks on the line with us. It's been going up and down, James. So you want to just share anything you like, and if they pop in with some questions, I'm gonna interrupt you. Before you start, Eric Carrillo is on the line, and he says to tell you hello. Sharon's saying hello. You're getting a lot of love. Deanne's talking about the lack of air conditioning, and can you talk about that a little bit more and how that feels?
Yeah. Well, all the units that's built like McConnell unit, which would be Michael's unit, Conley unit, Robertson, all red units like that, like this, structures like this one right here, all of these units were built from the early 1990s on up. And they're built with an AC system for the summertime, but they just don't care enough to turn it up, to turn the AC up. And it's even worse for us back here in solitary confinement, because at least in population, they're going to have some movement. And they got windows that they can open up to get a breeze. And back here in solitary confinement, we don't have windows that we can open up to get any breeze. So when they don't care enough to turn the AC up, and if we don't have a fan, even if you do got a fan, it's still hot. These cells literally become like an oven, concrete and steel in here. And it's so freaking hot. Like right now, I'm walking around just pouring sweat. But I've also been housed on the red brick units, which would be like, I think it's called Memorial Unit now, formerly called Darrington, and East Ham Unit, Vito and stuff like that. And it's triple. It's way hotter on the red brick units than it is on these units. So I really feel for them guys right now, especially. They don't have no AC at all.
How do you cope with that? What do you do to stay healthy? How do you stay healthy in that kind of heat?
I mean, you gotta figure out a way to try to stay cool and just hope that you can weather it and survive without having a heat stroke. Because I mean, if you do, CDC don't give a damn.
Right.
I remember when I was on the East Ham unit. I think it's called the Wainwright unit now. And it was so hot, not only for the inmates, but for the officers too. I used to feel bad for the officers, man. When they shower and all that stuff, by the time they get to 2 and 3 row, all their clothes is drenched in sweat, and they're just sweat pouring off their face. And like for us, I remember I used to flood my toilet to where my whole cell had at least about an inch of water on the floor, and I would just lay down in it, just try to stay warm that way. But it was so hot, within an hour of doing that, all that water would be dried up, and you would have to do it again. And it seems like at nighttime, I don't know what it is, like if the heat, I don't know, but it seems like at night, like this concrete pushes the heat out at night when it cools a little bit, and it's like way hotter at night than it even is at the day. So it's hard to sleep, break out in heat rashes and all kind of stuff.
There was a viral TikTok video about a lady telling how, I don't remember if she was talking about her spouse or her son cooling off with toilet water, and that's something that I did. I obviously did not do anywhere near the time that you have. I was inside for 10 years and only just short stints in solitary confinement, but I did live in cell block. And so I do remember overflowing that toilet. That was the only way you could get cool water. And I remember splashing toilet water on my body to try to stay cool. 70% of Texas prisons do not have air conditioned. We lose people every summer. The fatality rates inside the Texas prison system skyrocket during the summer months. Have you seen people get sick or even lose their life because of the heat?
Oh yeah, I've seen quite a few people fall out, have heat strokes, and when they finally do get down there to them, they take them out. But you see that they never come back, but you never know exactly what happened to them. And then the ones that have died that I know about, if you look on the custodial death report for TDCJ, it always says that it was, the death was some underlying health problem or whatever. Like they're never going to say that it was heat related.
TDCJ hasn't reported a heat-related death in my nephew's here, y'all, so I apologize for the back noise. My honey's coming to get him. But TDCJ has not reported a heat-related death since 2012. We know from our experience inside that that's false. And we also know because lots of prominent researchers from prominent universities have proven that to be false, right? So if we can't even trust the facility to properly identify the problem, how can we trust them to take care of our loved ones inside, right? People are asking about fans. Can you talk about the fans available and how that is? And again, folks, we're talking to James Probst. He's calling from solitary confinement in the McConnell unit. He's the author of No Hostage Beyond This Point. You can get this book on Amazon. And when I looked it up, y'all, I had to put his name to find it easily. So you guys screenshot, so you guys will have this because you'll want to order this book later. Can you talk about the fans? We have questions about that.
Yeah, I think Katie was telling me she saw somewhere, if anyone has loved ones on the McConnells, I think she was telling me she saw somewhere that McConnell is somehow allowing loved ones out there to send like money orders or cashier checks or something to get their loved one a fan if they don't know them. Something like that. But usually what happens is if your loved one or inmate here at indigent don't have the money or no one send him or her money to buy a fan, they can put in a request for an indigent fan, and they may or may not get what it is. And they do not get it at all. You just have to deal with it. They sell them on commissary as an emergency item. Usually you can buy one, anytime you go, as long as you haven't bought one within 6 months, of buying your last one. But here on the McConnell unit, like 12 buildings where I'm at back here in solitary confinement, we just did a 30-day lockdown. They shut down the whole 12 buildings, 11 buildings, and 10 buildings. And the day that we came up off lockdown, they found some cell phones and contraband and stuff way out there in population and locked us down again back here on 12 buildings. So now we're going on what, 6 weeks lockdown, eating Johnny's, and no, we haven't been offered any commissary, so we haven't had the opportunity to buy a fan even if we wanted to.
So if you have folks coming in from different units, like say someone comes in from an intake unit where there are not fans available on commissary, or they come in from a unit that is air conditioned and so they don't have a fan, then they get to the McConnell unit right now and they're not able to get one. They could go weeks without getting one.
Yeah, they could go weeks without getting one. If they do got money to buy one on commissary, because they pretty much run their own program over here. They run commissary whenever they feel like it, which we haven't had commissary in over a month now. If the inmate's indigent, then he might not get one at all. At all. He could put in for it, but he might not get one at all.
We have a guest, Gracefully Chosen Healed, says some units are dorm style, that they don't have electrical outlets for fans, so they don't sell fans on commissary. Have you been on one of those kind of dorms before, like maybe your intake unit?
No, having the time that I got, they started a new rule like in 2010, stuff like that. And when you come in when you got 50 years and up, they don't keep you on any type of transfers or anything. They send you straight to diagnostics, and within a week of being there, you're shipped out to your ID unit. And I said, most of them, since I've been locked up, I've been in solitary confinement, pretty much.
Ishi Angel is asking, how can they keep you in solitary for that long? Do you know the policies behind that? And what is their reasoning for having you in long-term solitary confinement like that?
Well, there's no meaningful review. Like, they bring you up for state classification. All right, every 6 months, the state classification comes on the unit, and they review people who are non-STGs. STG is a security threat group member, which if you're a confirmed member of a prison gang, then you're confirmed STG, and you only get to see state classification once a year. But if you're not confirmed STG, you see state classification every 6 months. But it's just for show. Like there's no meaningful review. They come up here, and it doesn't matter if you haven't had no case in years, if you haven't been violent or whatever the case is. If they don't want to let you go, they're not going to let you go. In recent months, they've been downsizing solitary a whole lot because of all the deaths and the lawsuits and the shortage of staff and just their inability to run it properly. But the reason why I've been kept in solitary confinement so long is, like I say, and I talk about a lot of it in that book too. When I first came back here, I've heard stories about solitary, but I never anticipated, what I was going to experience coming back here. And it's pretty harsh, man. And I just refuse to do certain things. Like, for example, the officers may come around and tell everybody chow time, get to the back of your cells, kneel down. Failure to do so result, verbal refusal of your meal. And they would go to the inmate's door, and the inmate might be kneeled down. They'd be like, all right, put your head on your bunk. Call me daddy, bitch. And just all this type of shit like that, and still not feeding inmates. So I made a decision right then and there that I would never get on my knees, and I never have. And so I started running 5-man teams, getting gassed by chemical agents, stabbing officers, and I became a product of my environment. Exactly what I'm fighting and advocating against now.
And that's so easy to do. Yeah, I mean, we see that, right? I went into prison at 30 years old, a PTA mom, and completely submerged my life. By the time I was about 4 years in, I was completely submerged into that lifestyle. It's the entire culture in there from leadership on down. So it definitely creates that, right? I do want to I want to talk about the lawsuit. The Texas Civil Rights Project is suing the Texas Department of Criminal Justice for exactly what you're talking about. They are housing lots of people for over 10 years because of those STGs. And there's a lawsuit against it. So I'm going to be following that. It's fairly new.
Awesome. Yeah, it's definitely it's ridiculous, man. And there's no need for that. A lot of these men who are confirmed STGs haven't had cases in 10, 15 years. A lot of them they came back here because they came to prison in an era when that was just the culture down here, and that very culture was created by the administration themselves whenever they created the building tenders in the early 1980s to do their dirty bidding. And all the prison gangs was a direct response to that, right, to those conditions. And they're still punishing us today for what they created in the 80s.
Negative consequences for the incarcerated population and in turn for the staff, because the culture there makes a dangerous workplace. You talked about the 5-man teams and getting ran in on and what that looks like. And what James is talking about is 5 correctional officers suiting up in body armor with shields, with face masks, with gas in their hand, and now tasers. Now they are armed with tasers. We know that we just lost a correctional officer on a 5-man team. James, he was the 3rd man in. Jovian Motley was the 3rd man. Can you, I can't help but think it's a conspiracy, and I have a smile and I'm laughing because it's so ridiculous that he lost his life being the 3rd man in. Can you talk about that? Do you know about that case?
Yeah, his mom's actually in our group, and we've had a chance to build a pretty good relationship with her. And to my understanding, he was already having problems with the shift supervisors on the unit, prior to. And it's good to know that that's part of the culture, man. Like, a lot of these officers that's been here for so long, they're so stuck in, and inmates the same way I was too, and so I broke away from that penitentiary mentality. But they're so stuck in their ways, their ways of doing things, to where you're either on their team or they're not. And if you're not on their team and you're considered a good officer, they put you in all the weapons and single you out and stuff. They come down here and start problems, and when it's time to suit up the team, they're not the ones getting on that team. They're putting the good officers on the team so that they can go in there and hurt somebody and get a lawsuit filed against them, or so they can go in there and get stabbed or killed or whatnot. And I don't know all the details to what happened to Miss Tamika's son on the team, but I do know that they put him, the same lieutenant that put him on that team was supervisors that he was already having problems with, prior to any of that. It's just a tragic situation.
Yeah, it is tragic. And when you say good officer, like, can you just talk about what that means to an incarcerated person? Like, when like what we would say is, hey, that law's cool. Like, what that meant at a women's prison for me was, if we had cool law, that meant I didn't have to worry about somebody coming in and tearing up my house, or I didn't have to worry about, if it was a male officer, James, like them hovering around the shower area in some kind of creepy way. I knew we were going to have a relaxed night, right? So what does it mean for you when you say a good law?
Well, someone who don't come in here with a chip on their shoulder, like they treat us like human beings too, because at the end of the day, this is about public safety. This is about rehabilitation, about rehabilitating people. And, building them up.
You have 1 minute left.
sending them back out there so that they can become productive citizens of the society and just trying to help reduce recidivism rate by doing their part as working under the color of state. They say we got 1 minute, Marci, so that's going to hang up on us. But, yeah, overall, just someone who comes in here that don't have a chip on their shoulder and treats everyone like human beings. And that's not what a lot of these people want who've been here for a long time. They want to keep up the stigma of us against them.
James, do you have capacity to call us back, or should we just schedule another one of these for another time?
Should I call back or should we schedule for another time?
We can do both, but if you have capacity to call back, when it hangs up, just call back. We have a good group here. We have a good group here, and they're listening and engaging and.
Thank you for using Securus. Goodbye.
So that's James Probst. He is the author of No Hostage Beyond This Point. He is currently incarcerated on the McConnell unit in Texas. He is housed in long-term solitary confinement. He has been in solitary confinement for a little over 15 years. Thank you, Uriah, for offering to put money on his phone account so that he can call back. I think that he's going to be calling right back. Stephanie, you can get this book on Amazon. When I looked this book up, I had a hard time just searching this, but when I put James' name in, Probst, I found it. It pulled right up. It's a great book. My wife couldn't put it down. I couldn't put it down. This was our extra copy. I ordered 2. I'll probably do some giveaways after the first when I have more money, after next Friday, right? But I'll probably do some giveaways for some of these copies. This is an excellent read. James was incarcerated as an 18-year-old young man, and he is joining us. He's going to be calling back, talking about and answering your questions, what it is like in solitary confinement long term, some of the issues with the Texas prison system that need to be addressed, and how can we address them. Anthony, thank you for that. James is the chairman of the board for an organization called Redeeming Justice. They are in the process of becoming, getting their 501c, but they are already grassroots organizing to improve prison conditions. Kristen, you're asking how old is James? So he got incarcerated at 18, and he's been locked up 16 years. So whatever 18 plus 16 is, but we can ask him the exact age when he hops back on, if he's able to call back. Sometimes in there you can't call when you think that you can. His mom might be on here also. Wicked DK, thank you for that. James, there is 34. There was no reason for a 5-man team. I think that a lot of times, some of the reasons that James is saying they used a 5-man team and ran up in his cell were for slight things like refusing to get on your knees for chow. I have been in solitary confinement where you have to get on your knees and face the back of your cell to get fed. Solitary confinement where you have to get on your knees and face the back of your cell to get fed. It worked well last time.
This is a free call from
James Probst.
an inmate at McConnell Unit. This call is being recorded and is subject to monitoring.
Thank
To accept
y'all
this free call,
for
press
liking the
1. To
live.
refuse
Thank
this
y'all
free
for
call,
sharing the
press
live. I
2.
appreciate
to learn
y'all
how
for
to put
hanging
money
out.
into your prepaid account or an offender
Excuse me.
Thank you for using Securus. You may start the conversation now.
James, welcome back. Again, this is James Probst, No Hostage Beyond This Point. You can order this book on Amazon. And thank you, London Dorsey, for offering to send people the link. I appreciate that so much. So the folks are just really talking about the overuse of force. why are these officers suiting up and storming in the cell just because they feel disrespected and putting not only their lives at risk, but the incarcerated person's life is at risk also. Party Dan is also asking about why you were in solitary for so long. So do you want to talk about that again, just very quickly about the STGs?
All right. Basically, if you're an STG, which is a security threat group, then you're a confirmed member of the prison gang. And basically what they do, they started in 2000. But I mean, they started before that, but they didn't really start just enforcing it until the year 2000. And in 2000, they were standing outside the chow halls, on the sidewalks and everything. And if you had any tattoos that indicated that you might be an associate of one of these prison gangs or a member or whatever, they were throwing you in solitary confinement with an indefinite sentence. And solitary is only one way out. And the only way out is to debrief and go through a program called GRAD program, which is gang reannouncement and disassociation program. You basically have to give up information to the GI, which is the gang intelligence. Whether you had some type of secret information or not, that puts the target on your back, and because people are going to look at you as a snitch from then on out, So, of course, nobody was complying with that stuff because they didn't want that jacket on their back. And so if you're an STG, and I am a confirmed STG too, and I forgot to say that earlier. Like I said, I became a product of this whole penitentiary mentality environment when I was younger. But you, as an STG, you only see state classification once a year. And if you're not an STG, you see state classification every 6 months. But when they come to the unit, there's no meaningful review. That you can be without a case for 2 or 3 years, minding your business, doing your time, taking courses, whether it's church, spirituality courses through the mail or whatever it is. It's basically doing your time and trying to be as productive as you can, and they don't care. They'll let you out if they choose to. Like, there's just no meaningful review. And so that's why you got so many people who've been back here for decades.
Do you see, you've been in solitary confinement for 15 plus years. Do you have seen men do more time than that? And thank you guys who are ordering his books. Thank you, Stephanie. I see you guys. Stephanie says if you Google this, it takes you straight to the Amazon link. So maybe Google's the fastest way to get there. You guys go get his book right now. You can come back. We'll still be here. Yeah, have you seen, James, have you seen men doing more time than you?
Oh, yeah. I've seen guys in their 60s that's been back. I ran into guys who've been back here since the 80s.
Since the 1980s, housed in solitary confinement, literally for decades in solitary confinement. I did a TikTok video about that, and do you know how many people told me that I was lying when I said, hey, I saw women that were in there and that had been in there, and the fact is Texas is known for that. Texas is the state that houses the most incarcerated people in long-term solitary confinement, more than all the other states plus the federal government combined. More than all of that combined, Texas does that. It's a form of torture, and that's what we're doing to humans, to our incarcerated Texans. They're asking about your book. Do you get financial gain from your book? Is that a way that they can financially support you?
I'm sorry, Marcy. Sometimes this phone blacks out on me for a second. I didn't hear that last part.
That's okay. They're asking about if you get financial gain from the proceeds of the sales of your book, and is that a way that they can financially support you by ordering your book as well?
Yes. Yes. Everything I make from the sales off the book, I'm taking and literally pouring right back into the work that I'm doing. We're trying to change the whole culture in here, and help fund our nonprofit organization out there to be able to start up our newsletters to spread across the prisons and everywhere else to raise awareness and build community. So yeah,
so that's a big yes. You want to read this book because this is the raw dirty story, and it doesn't just begin with your prison sentence. When does your story begin in this book, James?
From right after birth, throughout my childhood, and then throughout prison and up to now.
So growing up with generational addiction and getting in that lifestyle yourself definitely puts you on a path to incarceration. This book, to me, the beginning of this book is a testament about how our communities need to step up and get involved way beforehand. When we see families struggling with poverty and addiction and some of the things that your family was struggling with, what could your community have done to help you in that time?
Right. Well, I always like to say is that, prison's not a place that we start, it's just a place where we end up at, right? So, to me, I think prison reform starts in our communities. It starts in schools because so many of us in prison had pretty much the same story. Growing up in poverty and broken homes with drug-addicted parents, no father in the household, and going to the streets and joining gangs to find family and stuff like that. And, the next criminal, the next person to be sitting in a cell just like I'm sitting in right now, he's somewhere out there in those communities. He's sitting in the classroom right now, and he's needing a hug. He's needing to be told that, and show that someone cares. He's hungry. He's hungry, so he's learning ways to commit crimes to put food on the table. So most definitely, that's where it starts at.
Thank you for that. I couldn't agree more. In the country that incarcerates more people per capita than any other democratic country, we still have high crime rates. The fact is, prisons don't reduce crime. What would reduce crime? What you're saying is community involvement at an early stage. That's what will actually make our communities safer. The prisons are not making our communities safer. James, they're asking about how they can support you financially for phone calls and for advocacy work like this. Anthony is suggesting and leading people to your Redeeming Justice Facebook page. Is that where you would like people directed to maybe financially support?
Yes, if they would go over to Facebook and find us on Facebook at Redeeming Justice, we have a way there where they can financially support my cause, my fight. That's what they choose to do, right?
Thank you guys for asking that, and definitely those calls, these kind of phone calls get very expensive, and I think your mom, who I did time with, I was incarcerated with your mom. That's how you and I met. I was incarcerated with her on the Dr. Lane Murray unit, and I'm so proud of how far she has come, and I'm so proud of how far you have come, because you both had a very uphill battle. Wicked DK, is that KT? Is that Katie on here? Is that her? TikTok name. I don't know if it is or not, but she's plugging that. And Uriah's just making note that there are some scammers, so make sure that it is the Redeeming Justice. You can scroll down and see a nice solid history there to make sure that that is the Facebook group, because there are lots of people that will try to represent someone else for monetary gain, right?
Well, we actually have the logo of our nonprofit organization up there as the profile picture, which is the scales of justice with two hands balancing them out, and it says Redeeming Justice on there.
Okay, thank you for that. Do we have any other questions? Any questions on groups? Y'all can also message me as well. Thank you, Department of Corruptions. I appreciate you that. I appreciate you for that, and I appreciate for your constant support of prison reform nationwide and here in Texas. We appreciate you so much. James, do you have anything else that you really want to share? We still have a really good group on here, but I just don't have a lot of questions. So anything else that you have in mind to share about whatever?
Well, I guess I'll say one more thing in closing, and maybe next time we can find pinpoints and things that your audience might want to hear or whatever, and you just let me know in time, and I'll come on here with you.
Okay.
I want to tell everyone there's some things that I can't talk about right now, but I got some major things in the works right now with this movement that I got going on and stuff. And at the end of the day, I know there's a lot of people who try to judge me based on my past, but I know that person. But that person don't know me. I'm no longer that person now. And what I do with my advocacy work is I want to make prison a better environment and better conditions, not only for prisoners, but for staff that work here too. Because at the end of the day, we're all human beings, and understand this: I've got nothing to gain from doing this. I got life without the possibility of parole. So I'm literally sentenced to take my last breath on earth in one of these cells. But circumstances won't dictate my personal conduct and how I choose to respond to it. So, I do this out of my heart and sincerely, and I really appreciate all of y'all who are out there fighting and being engaged in this fight with us. So at the end of the day, it's all about rehabilitation and public safety, making the world a better place for all of us.
Yeah, most definitely. I love that. You said circumstances don't have to dictate my conduct, and I think that it's so easy to be in that environment, that culture of oppression, where you are seeing policies, rules, and laws being broken regularly by the people that have authority over you, and it's really hard not to lose yourself and your mission in that. And so it's really impressive that you have turned your hardship and your story into something to help the people coming behind you and the people currently incarcerated. And you're right, there are going to be some people against you. I'm wondering, and we did have a question about how they feed, about chow. So I want to touch on that real quick. And I also want to ask about if you've gotten backlash from any of the staff, like about your book or your organization, your TikTok account.
Oh yeah, I think you remember the one incident, Clemens, and I'm pretty sure your audience listening right now has seen some of my TikTok videos that I released from the cell phone. I mean, everybody has, right? But when I first started releasing those videos, I was told that if I didn't stop reporting what's going on the inside, that they would kill me. But me being who I am and all I've been through, at some point you're gonna have to take a stand. and fight for what you believe in and be willing to die for it at any given moment too. So that, that's just how I live my life. And so I kept doing it. And August 27th last year, I was attacked by an officer. Well, two officers came to take my cell down, and I was attacked outside my door while I was handcuffed behind my back. And after the attack, I was already on the floor laying in a puddle of blood from my head being busted open. And he put his hand on my neck and choked me unconscious in a puddle of blood. Sorry, babe. But other than that physical attack right there, it's mainly been just like playing games with my correspondence with my anything that comes to that mailroom. I might not get it. You know, they hold on to my emails for long periods of time. Just passive things like that, right?
You and I have experienced that ourselves. I'll get a message from you that says content of this message has been removed, or I'll message you and it'll be a week before you see it. We've definitely seen we've seen some of those consequences. I have witnessed some of that firsthand. Ursula Dawn they're asking, and several people are asking, what is your TikTok handle?
So if you Google my name, I think it pops up on Google. But if you click on it, it's gonna show a blank page, because right now we suspended the page for some of the things that I got going on that I can't really speak on right now. But in the near future, we'll be putting it back up.
So the best place for you guys to catch him and his organization, Redeeming Justice, is on Facebook. Redeeming Justice on Facebook. And thank you. You guys can also, Wicked DK said that you guys can message her for the link. Thank you, Lisa. You guys hear my nephews. So again, this is James Probst, and we're probably going to be wrapping up here pretty quickly. No hostages beyond this point. Google this, guys. It'll hit you with the Amazon link. This book not only is going to be one that you can't put down, you are going to be shocked at some of the realities that... You know, if I didn't know anyone else incarcerated, or I had not been incarcerated, it would be hard for me to believe some of the things in this book. But because I've heard the stories multiple times from different units, from different people, from what I've seen inside, from what my other women that I've done time with have experienced, you know, it's sad but true, but he lays it out in a very, very raw way. Excuse me. I don't know how much longer my voice is going to last, James.
We can schedule for next time. I thank you for having me. I thank you for having me on here, Marci. And anytime that you and your audience allow me on here, I'll come on here.
Well, we thank you too, and let's do it again. Let's do it again sometime next week, and we'll do some giveaways. We'll give away some of your books to some of our folks on here. Y'all have been awesome. Thank you guys so much for sending James all the love. They're telling you keep your head up. Eric says keep your head up. They're sending you lots of love, James. We all appreciate you not only speaking up for yourself, but everyone incarcerated across the country, really, but especially highlighting Texas prisons and the conditions inside. Your work is commendable, and we appreciate it so much.
I thank y'all.
Okay, James, let's plan it maybe the first week of June. Let's plan a date, okay?
All right, sounds good.
Okay, sending big love, my friend, and we'll talk to you soon.
All right, bye-bye.
Bye, James.
The caller has hung up.
That was James Probst on the line. He was calling from the Texas Department of Criminal Justice, the McConnell unit. He was calling from solitary confinement. James had spent has been locked up for 16 years and has been in solitary confinement for 15 of those years. He has written this book, No Hostage Beyond This Point, where he talks about some things that happened in his childhood and some early decisions that led him on a path to incarceration and eventually ended up facing the death penalty and fortunately getting a life without parole sentence instead. He is inside fighting for prison reform. So you guys want to get this book, you can Google it and it pops right up. I'm going to wrap this up because it is Memorial Day and I want to visit with my family some more and spend some time with these kiddos that are running around the room while we're talking. Thank y'all for hanging out. As always, I love you so much. You guys are so good to me and I appreciate all of your support and everything that you do. I'm going to try to be going live more often. It is my goal to be at least once a week on here hanging out with y'all. Love you so much. Talk soon. Bye, y'all.